Hello, Mario! In this video, Land Surveying 1, Session 5, we're going to be looking at accuracy versus precision, as you can see up there on the left-hand side of the screen, or my right side, if the trickery of photography hasn't turned it all around. So let's go to the big screen, and first of all let's see how this session is going to come together. Well, first up we need to have a session plan, and here it is. It's very similar to all the other session plans. Essentially we have a 2-hour tutorial in the CAD room, and that's where I will sign on your attendance to say that you are here, hand out some documents, go through this PowerPoint that I'm looking at now to introduce the subject without too much detail. Most of the detail is contained in the Moodle site, in the various resources and what have you that I ask you to look at. Then, with time left, I will answer questions, help with things that have come up during the practicals, and then of course you can work on topics. With Morio, there is always something to do, and that is my intention. This will be either preceded in some cases or followed by the 4-hour practical, where we meet on the student street and then hopefully, weather permitting, go outside to fill out our health and safety documentation, which we should now be working through. All of the various people in the group should have had a leadership opportunity to be the health and safety manager. Then we will go on with the practical tasks sorted out for the day, which I will sign off as each one is completed, or some of you may need to sign them off in subsequent meetings with me, provided you can jog my memory as to saying that you were there and you did the work. My memory is pretty good at this point in time. So that's the plan. Now the learning outcomes. On the successful completion of this session, you should have examined the difference between accuracy and precision. This is a common question that comes up in the end of year or end of paper exam. Heard of the concept working from the whole to the part, and hopefully have gone a fair way to understanding what it means and being able to relate some of the work that you have done to this concept by way of example. You should have reviewed at least 5 different types of survey: topographical, as-built, set-out, engineering as-built, engineering set-out, cadastral, important one there, control, hydrographical. There are many, but you should know at least 5 of the top ones. You should have listed and understood at least 3 different independent checks. Independent checks are very important because they tell us that, one, it tells us they're good QA and tell us that we have checked things 2 different ways independent of each other. You should now be able to set up an instrument over a survey mark in less than 5 minutes. Accurately and precisely over a survey mark in less than 5 minutes. And labelled a tribrac diagram, so you should know what a tribrac is and the various parts of it. And you should have calibrated your pace. You should be able to pace a lot more accurately, or know how to pace a lot more accurately, once you have calibrated your pace in the practical. Okay, this session's simple survey concepts. why do we set up over marks? That's a very good question. We set up over marks because we are measuring from mark to mark. But sometimes it's not possible to directly access the mark. We might need to set up, a mark might be buried, for instance. So we set up vertically over the mark so that we have a point above the mark that we can measure to, because we cannot measure through the ground to the actual mark or from one mark to the other. So we set up over marks so that we can conveniently sight them and measure them. And this is one area where we need to be very accurate, because if we're not set over the mark, we are set up over another position that is different to that of the mark that we're trying to measure to. Remember that we are measuring X, Y, and Z, and each point has a unique coordinate. So if we're not set over the mark and we think we are set over the mark, we are in fact at a different coordinate to where we think we are. So it's very important that we set up accurately over marks to enable us to measure between the marks, so that we can coordinate the marks and determine the X, Y, and Z. Up until now, we have just been looking at the Z when we have been doing levelling. Now, when we get to the total station, we will start to look at all three, X, Y, and Z. The levelling is by far the most accurate way of determining accurate Z. But the total station is closely to that. There's the next closest method, and then the GNSS or GPS, as you may know it. So moving on, is your diary up to date? Is your diary up to date? Is your diary up to date? I've said that 3 times. It's very important that you keep your diary up to date. It is so difficult to write a diary retrospectively. I mean, who knows what you did on February the 16th, 2017. You might remember that it was possibly, you might have been at the induction, you might have been making trebuchets, but if you did your diary on February the 17th, you would have a better or clear idea of what you did. So keep your diary up to date. Remember that it's worth a percentage of your final mark. It's a very good habit to keep, and keeps a record of your course, which will be useful to yourself and your tutor in determining future workloads for students. Assignment 1, levelling, is currently on the go, and you should be starting to work towards a conclusion in this. You will have hopefully finished the field work, and now will be compiling reports and plans and diagrams, finding perhaps that there's small little errors that need to be tidied up in some things. Now, these can be done in a number of ways. You could come and see your tutor and ask for access to the gear, and with 1 or 2 of your teammates you could be sorting these problems out. But definitely it's to your advantage to have a coherent assignment and report. Perhaps there are a few little things that are not quite as they should be. Discuss them with your tutor. Write and record what you did and how you got around with it. This is how the world works. Things do not always go according to plan or as we would like them to go. So we have to come up with solutions to the problems. Sometimes the solutions to those problems are compromises. But if you communicate and talk and everyone understands what the compromises are, then things can move forward. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Communication is king. Okay, effective communication. Communication is king. I've heard that somewhere before. And it is king. It's very, very important. Now, what are some of the teams doing? From past experience and from talking to some of you as I prepare this video, which is sometime premature, pre this, but I have been talking around and in previous years. So what are some teams doing? Facebook page for the team, WhatsApp group, meetings, sharing data, maybe with Google Docs or Dropbox or, other things, team email. All of these things are different communication channels. And you need to have effective communication channels so that you can communicate quickly and effectively with all your team members. This is very, very important. And in terms of feedback that I get from students about teamwork, this communication is usually the root of the problem. Communication and the fact that people don't turn up to meetings or agreed events and things like that, which is effectively a communication. You can't communicate if someone's not there. So communication is king. Focus on communication. If a member of your team is getting difficult to contact, get together and make sure, talk to them, tell them how important it is, work out what works best for them. They may not have the internet at home. They may not have a smartphone, so it might be with text, or you may need to leave a brown envelope under a rock somewhere that they can access. I don't know, but communication is important. Okay, and that brings us to the end of my introduction, in a sense. Why do we set up over marks? We set up over marks so that we can accurately measure between them. Remembering that when we set up, the higher we are above the mark, the less chance there is for us to be accurate, because we could be slightly off vertical and things like that. So it's very important that we calibrate our gear, such as tribrachs and the like, to make sure that they are in fact working vertical, and that we do independent checks and things like that to ensure that we have set up properly and our measurements are great. So that's the end of the intro, or the sort of getting you ready for this one. Let's look at Moodle. Okay, so in this segment I'm going to go to the Moodle for the actual session, and here we are. Well, here's our Moodle course, and here we are at the home page. So just remembering that at the home page you have your course outline, your teams. Hopefully we've got the teams as they should be. Remember that these relate to attendance as well, so the streams relate to our attendance registers. So if you're in the wrong team or things are not right there, it's very important that you get back to me and we get that sorted, and it's sitting right here. Okay, so this one here is hidden, so these are the three that you will see. So that's the front page there. The assessment tab is recently. However, you will find that the assignment is due on Monday the 3rd of April, and I've talked about the diary in that. And then coming up, of course, we will have the traversing assignment will be coming up, and also we have a levelling test coming up soon as well. This will possibly, if we go back to the home, just to bring you up to date, if we go to the course outline, I'll go to the NZDE because the majority of you are doing that. Control 0, perhaps not. we'll just stream down through here, remembering this is the course outline. So we have the levelling test coming up around about the 3rd of April, in that week there. The levelling test will be done obviously after the levelling assignment is due. The levelling test will be done during the tutorial that we have in the CAD room, and they're 1 hour long. And just on that, yes, we'll go there. So that's the levelling test, 1 hour long. Just as by way of a reminder here, old exam papers, I have got copies of the levelling test somewhere. I think they're here under now where are the levelling tests? They might be under the answers here, perhaps. No, they're not. Perhaps they're under the old exam papers. No, they're not there. Now, where are they? Teamwork, student notes, total station, accuracy, resources, worksheets. Perhaps they're under here. Worksheets, no. I've been there already. Resources. What have we got? Health and safety, old exam papers, flipped teaching model, team skills. Oh dear, assessment. Let's see what we got here. Might be right down the bottom. Tests. Oh, here they are under tests. Who would have thought to look there? So there's the levelling tests in there. Just remember, and there's various examples going back there with model answers and things like that. So that's a very good means of studying for the test. In true Morio style, there will be no surprises, so the tests will be, you'll see that there's a similarity. So if you can do all of the questions in these tests here, you'll give yourself a fairly good chance of getting a very good mark in the 2017 test, which in due course will be appearing in this list. Okay, so that's got that sorted. We'll go back to assessment, and I think at this stage here I'll go through to accuracy versus precision, which is the thing that we're doing. So we've got pre-class activity. I've got a lot of little videos and things for you to watch in here, as is usual. Accuracy versus precision. So here are some notes here, and what have you. Very important. Accuracy versus surveying types of survey, setting up an instrument, setting up over a mark, that sort of thing. Accuracy versus precision, a worksheet here, which is talks about that there. So yes, that's our accuracy versus precision. Types of survey, again, it's just a matter of following through. Example of a type and your exam questions, and then some pace calibration examples. I've got up in here, as you can see, the session plan, the session notes, and here's the checklist. Work your way through the checklist here. Where's it coming? Oh, it's not showing. Oh, is it showing here? Oh, I've got that. I've got that registered to the PowerPoint, which is highlighted an error in my Moodle site. So I need to just adjust that. This is the PowerPoint. I think I've got that. That's the PowerPoint there. Yes, I need to adjust that so that it will show the checklist. So what I'll do is I'll go down here to what success looks like. So the successful completion of this unit handed into me as a single PDF document should look something like this. and hand in the cover page. That's always handy. And here's the checklist I was talking about, which I'll fix up after I've done this video in the Moodle site. I'll get that all fixed up. So there's work your way through these, each doing perhaps a little bit each day. Note down the day that you do it, which of course will be recorded in your diary as well, and work your way through each one. Obviously you've got to have work ready for the practical tasks when they're going to be done. So that's the thing. So here you have the quiz, types of surveys, setting up over a mark. This possibly cannot be done until you've done the practical. You can read through, and it's quite hilarious actually. Somebody writes out what they think they do, and then they try to follow their instructions or give their instructions to someone else to follow, and they find out there's quite some shortcomings in what they've suggested people do. So that's a nice little bit of bit of fun there in following instructions. Here, just some things to consider for setting up survey equipment. Stable, it must be firm and stable, because if it moves, it won't be over the mark, and that will cause all sorts of problems. Set up at a comfortable height. Tall people shouldn't be bending down, and short people shouldn't be standing on boxes to look through instruments. Safety, is it safe? Make sure safety has two components to it really. Is the gear safe? The most important thing. As a boss, you don't want your gear to be unsafe, and then the people using the gear. I better clarify that I was kidding there. Yeah, don't set the instrument up in the middle of the road where you could get taken out by a car. The gear could be taken out by a car. Don't set the gear up unless you've got controls in place in the middle of a race on a cattle farm. Leave the gear set up, go away and have your lunch, and you might find your gear flattened on the ground with all sorts of cow excrement over it in various places. It can be a little bit unpleasant. So safety, security, especially when you're leaving GPS base stations and things like that. Some people padlock them to lampposts and stuff like that, but you do need to make sure that you're not leaving something in a place where it could get stolen or moved or bits taken off it. So you need to consider all these things. Environmental factors are the weather, but wind, sand, dust, all of these things that could affect your instrument or yourself when you're setting it up. So they're all important things. Label a tribrac, pretty straightforward. Remember that the manuals and the manuals for the gear are all included on the Moodle site. So there is places that you can go to look up and find the correct thing, and that information is provided on the Moodle site. Some exam questions sort of pre-2014. Remember, if you can't answer these questions here, what chance do you have in the exam? Mario says that quite a lot. And do them in your own words. Make sure that they're in words that you can understand and words that you use. You don't want to be trying to remember, well, you shouldn't be remembering. These things should be naturally in your head. So, yes, try and practice, as you intend to play. You don't sort of practice the highfalutin stuff that's maybe written in textbooks or Wikipedia that every fifth word you don't really understand. Put it into your own words so that you can understand and remember it quite easily. Exams and questions, more there, lots of those. The pace calibration exercise will be done during the practical. Essentially, it's by knowingly sort of trying to work out your pace length, you can pace more accurately. And hopefully I'll prove that in here. The working from the part little exercise is a way of showing how by using the little paper ruler down the bottom of the page there on the exercise. This is an old version of the whole to the part activity, and on the latest one I have provided a little ruler down the bottom here, which isn't on this one. So you'll see that there. So use the little ruler. I've updated it. This is from 2015, and I updated it for 2016, and that's in the 2017 one. So you use that little ruler to measure out a long distance, and so that's measuring in parts. And then you use like an accurate steel tape, 8-meter steel tape, to measure that whole length, and quite accurately. And you can see that by fitting the inaccurate small parts measurements into that, you can achieve a better accuracy from the lower accuracy ruler. So it's sort of a demonstration of how we can use working from the whole to the part. Essentially the whole is, we accurately measure around the outside. In New Zealand that might be the various the first order trig stations, and then we break that down to second order, third order, fourth, fifth order, and so on. Each one being slightly less accurate, either in the equipment we use or the methodologies that we use or the way that we adjust things. Each one slightly less accurate, but nonetheless the accuracy is controlled by the precision of the next order up. And so we're able to fit into that, and that's how we do a lot of our adjustments and things. And this little exercise here, when it goes right, it shows it. Sometimes it doesn't quite go according to plan. So, but it's worthwhile. Okay, and these are the practical tasks that you're going to get signed off. So, that's pretty much it for this one. I'll just go back here to the Moodle topic. So, topic 5. And so, that's it for topic 5, accuracy versus precision. We've worked through most of the stuff there. It's up to you now to try and get most of that stuff done and sorted. So, I suggest that you, get cracking. If you have any questions about it, come and see me and ask. Remember, communication is king. If you want to communicate, that's going to get you the answers that you need. So let's just leave it there and get on with accuracy versus precision. Cheers. See you.